Hello and welcome. Today we want to do the database task from October-November 2024. So we are going to scroll down to the second task. So we're going to go to page 6, task 3, databases. Okay, so we're going to go through question 14, right? Dates must be imported in the format day, month, year, DMY. So when you are answering questions, always make sure that you read everything, okay? Because it has something to do with how you're going to present your data, okay? And you can see that because they've given us that format DMY, we have a field written DOB, date of birth, which is carrying a date data type, and we want this date to be DMY and following that format, okay? So using database software, import the file N2402 student.csv as a new table. Use these field names and data types. So we have this list of field names, these data types, and then on store, we have integer specified for age and integer to display as an integer, and then we have that format on date when we want to display it. Okay, set row number as a primary key. So we are going to go on and start the question for October-November 2024. Okay, so we are going to go and create a new database. We are going to open our Access and we create our database. Okay, so by default, we are going to have that table 1. Now we are going to import. Okay, so the data that we are importing, we are getting it from an external file. So you click on external data, you go on new data source from file, and then you click on text file. So you have to browse and go to your folder. So you are just going where your folder is. So if your folder is on the desktop, you are just going to take yourself to the folder that you want. Okay, so these are the information that we have. Now we are going to look for the actual file that we are supposed to import, N2402 students. So we are going to look for N240 students, this one. Okay, we click on open. Okay, so this is the data that we have. We will leave it on delimited. Next, we click on first row contains field names, like that. So you can see the first row now has been grayed out and there's a line underneath. So this is the detail and that is the heading. We click on next, and then when we get here, we are going to say, now we start by selecting the data type, and then we also put our primary key. Okay, so we click on advanced, like that. And then we can see that now from our question paper, it actually told us that it has to be DMY, date, month, year. So you check on date order here. So we are going to change this to DMY, not MD. Okay, so that's where you check and make sure that it's following DMY as requested from the question paper. And this is the fields that we have and the data types that we have from the question paper. We do nothing on indexed and on skip. We leave that. We don't do anything, but we always have to click on that scroll bar to make sure that we would have dealt with everything. So we'll start from the question paper now to say we want text till we get to date with time. Okay, so everything is text till we get to date with time. Everything is text till we get to date with time. Okay, then after that, we have text, right? So roll number is text, telephone is text. Then we have number, then text again. Okay, but this number here, we have already been told that this is an integer, so there should be 0 decimal places here. So we are supposed to make sure that this one is an integer. So text, integer, text. So text. Here we can see that this telephone was selected as long integer. We are supposed to make it text. Okay, so we are going to select on text. So we should have text, integer, then text. And we scroll down here to see that there is nothing after. We have dealt with every field. Okay, so after death with time, we said text, integer, text. So that's the change that we are just going to put in. Okay, then we click on OK. So we are done with putting the data types. Okay, so what we are doing when we are in the process of importing, we are just selecting the field name, the data type for the field name. So we make sure we match as it is given in the question paper, we match it, and we use the store and display dash to make sure that we put the correct data type, especially where we have fields like Boolean, fields like our Boolean, our integer, our double. So we make sure that if it's supposed to be a double, we put a double if it is decimal places. For in this case, this type of number is to be an integer. Okay, so you have to make it an integer. And for telephony, as much as they are numbers, because they start with a 0 and they have spaces between, it then makes them text. Okay, so you have to make sure that you follow everything. If we make a mistake on putting these data types, it will give us two tables that will be imported in the database. And the way to correct it is to delete the two tables. One will be import error and then showing that which fields were affected, and it will show you that this is the field that was affected. So you have to delete the two tables that you have come in, and then you start the importing process again. Okay, so we need to be careful once and for all when we are importing. And then we are going to set row number as primary key. So we are going to then choose my primary key and then select row number. We click on row number and then we click on next and then finish. So this is our table. This one we are going to close it. We don't want it. So we can double click. So this is the data. This is our information that we have put in. And you can see that this information here, in as much as it's following whatever method that we have put in, we want to make sure that it's on the format that we have been asked to use. Okay, so we have to go back to our design and we click on date with time. And on this date with time, we want it to follow a format that we have been given on the question paper, right? So it's a medium date, so we are selecting medium date. So from that down arrow, we are just choosing which one follows the same that we have been given. So we can see that this one, 12, no, 15, is following the same format that we have been given on the question paper. But in the case that you don't find it, okay, you just have to type the format that you have seen on the question paper. So if we look at this question paper, we can see that the format is also given on top, DD underscore MMM underscore YY. Okay, so we can go on. If we don't see that option, we can just go on in there. We put in as given by the question paper, like that. So we can just type in and it will show us the same way if we had just done it. So we save and it will just still give us the same way, like choosing medium date. So if it's an option that we want to see but it's not showing, you can just type in and then you'll be done with your importing of the first table and choosing your primary key. And then you save your data, placing the evidence document. In the evidence document now, we don't want to see this datasheet view. Evidence document, you use the design view. You go to your design view, and then in the design view, that's where you take a screenshot. The screenshot is just supposed to show the name of the table, which one is the primary key, the fields, and the data type. So when you go to your snipping tool, you click on new, and then this is the area we just want to take, like that. Okay, the name, which one is the primary key, the fields, and the data types that we have selected. Then you go on and paste. Okay, so we are done with importing the first and taking care of the design side. Then you move on to the next table. Right, now we are importing degrees, N2402 degrees.csv to this same database. So we are just going to go in the same database. We're not creating a new one. In this same database, we are going to go external data, new data source, from file, text file, and then browse. Then we click on degrees and then open. Okay. Next. Remember, first rows contains field names. Next, till we get to this point, and then you go on to here, remember, it should be DMY, like that. And then now we can see the field names and the data type. So from the field names and data type, we are now going to check with the question paper now. It should be text, and then number. This one has to be an integer, right? So level, integer. Then text up to subject, right? So it's text except for level up to subject. So everything should be text, level is integer, and then text up to subject, right? Then from that point, we have duration number. It should be a decimal. It is carrying one decimal place. Work experience, Boolean, yes or no. Okay, so we are now going to put double and yes or no. So on duration, right, it should be yes or no. Let's recheck. Duration is it's double, and then yes or no is on work experience. Okay, so work experience is the one that has yes or no. Then duration, this is double because it's carrying a decimal place. So we don't do anything on index, we don't do anything on skip. We are just going to make sure that duration, because it's a decimal, we are going to select double, and work experience, we are going to put yes or no because it's a Boolean. Okay, and then we scroll down to just make sure that we reached the end of all the fields. And then when we have reached that point, we are going to click on OK. And then we go to choose the primary key. And from this one, our primary key is subject code. So either you select from here or you go down and then you click on subject code from that drop down. And then you click on next. And then you click on finish. So they've imported our two tables. So on the degrees, the moment we finish importing, we need to just double click on it to see the datasheet view. So this is the datasheet view where you're actually seeing your information. And from this one, we have seen that from the question paper, it said it has to be one decimal place, but this one is not carrying a one. It's actually an integer. The other one is one decimal place. So we need to make sure it's fixed. Every data should be on one decimal place. And then on work experience, we can see that these are ticked. Some are not ticked, but on display, it actually told us that it has to be yes or no. So we can confirm with the question paper. This one has to be one decimal place and it should display yes or no on the Boolean. Right. So what do? We go back to our design. So in our design, we click on the duration. yes, we set it as double, but we want it to be one decimal place. So we always have to remove the auto and put the number of decimal places that have been asked by the question paper and select on fixed, right? We select on fixed to make sure that it's fixed onto one decimal place. Okay, and then we go on to work experience. Yes, we selected yes or no, but we also have to make sure that on format, that yes or no, which format do you want? Do you want it to display true or false, yes or no, on or off? So we're going to say yes or no on format. And for this type of field, we do two things. After selecting yes or no, you go on lookup and make sure that you change the checkbox here to text box, right? So if you change it to text box, then it will give us yes or no. So you do two things. On general, you're selecting yes or no. When you are done, you go on to look up. When you click on look up, you then select text box. So we can now go on to our datasheet view and see. Always remember to save. So we can see that this is now fixed to one decimal place and work experience is now yes or no, or displaying as yes or no. Okay. So after you're done, you save. We have saved and you place in your evidence the screenshot. So the screenshot is the one that we take from the design. So you click on design. And from the design, we want to see the name of the field, which one is the primary key, field names, and we are going to show as well. You take your script, your snipping to new, you put it there, click and drag. So when you select the area, it's showing the name of the table, the primary key, the field names, and the data types. Always make sure that you have all other things closed. So you can see there is nothing that is coming after the name of the table. Okay, so if I'm done with whatever I'm doing, I just have to close. Okay, so that I have a clean working area here. So I've done my importing. So these are the two questions. If you do your first question correctly, it also helps you to bring out a good looking report at the end with the things that have been asked by the question paper. Okay, so this is how we import. This is our first question on databases on importing. So we are done with question 14. Let's meet again on question 15. So it's bye for now. You can also try this. We can do it.